My name is Cristian Paun. I'm Head of Business Transformation and Procurement for Lombard International Assurance. We have acquired UiPath and both the robots and the orchestrator because, as I said, I'm also combining the procurement parts of what I want. I want to make sure that we get the right return on investment. And with the orchestrator, not only you are able to use the robots during the day, but you are also able to schedule them during the night. So basically you maximize your investment 24/7. Lombard International Assurance is active and is number one in wealth investment. So for us, the onboarding process is a critical one. I could say that we have started with KYC, so know your client, which is extremely painful process, a lot of manual work. But I have now some very good friends and colleagues that are happy to have Ruby the robot as their assistant. On top of this, we also have tax reporting, overdraft, reinvestment, so there are several processes. Some, like KYC, for instance, you can see it even in banks. Some are more specific because, okay, it's in our niche. I'm just going to refer to going back to my colleagues, for instance. The commitment that we have done to them is that we're going to reduce the workload for them with as much as somewhere around 20 and 50%. And I would say this is the promise that we have delivered. Now, of course, it depends on the process. As I said, in KYC, it's 50%, in other, it's 20%. It's also very much depending on the maturity of the processes and how much manual work do you do currently. Because the robot will only actually take away the manual work. So whenever you need to have a validation, because you need to have the 4 eyes check, that still remains. For us, we have actually a certain strategy. So automation and technology is only one pillar of our strategy, but we have an integrated strategy, which means that we have the business model, the operating model, and the technology. So what we look, do we want to change something in our business model? We are going to continue to, for instance, serve B2B or B2C. We said, no, the business model will keep B2B, wealth investment only. Operating model, if we want to serve better our clients and customers, we need to change a little bit the way you operate. We need to change our processes. And only after we came with the technology. And technology part, I can say RPA or artificial intelligence or all together. Reason being is like when you build a house, if you do not have a strong foundation, you can put on top all the automation, it's just going to fall apart. So for us, it's a pillar, it's not the only one, but it is the one, I would say the cherry on the cake, that it is the one that is actually enabling the business to go further and to provide better services to our clients. At least for our case, I would say it's not the cost that was driven by an attendant or unattended robot, is more the business need. Because end of the day, you know, my department, business transformation, I am there to transform the business for better. So yes, cost, it is important, but ultimately, it's like, what do we need from the business? In some cases, you have processes in which, I said it before, you still need a human interaction. You still need somebody to validate and make sure that once all the data are prepared for you in the onboarding process, you certified and you double-checked 4 eyes principle that everything is correct. So in some cases, either you like it or not, you do need the attendant robots. In some other cases, tax reporting, for instance, you can just run it unattended and it's perfectly. You don't even need to know it. Before morning, you have the report prepared for your local authorities and that is fine. So I think it's just a mix depending on your business and how it's bringing much more value to you. Sometimes it's only attending, sometimes it's unattending, but I think in most of the cases you will have in any companies a mix between attended and unattended. So far, we are proud to say that we have not encountered any issues. Yes, there are sometimes, I hear some colleagues like, oh, I have the KYC and it stopped. Well, there are also some reasons, because if your password expires and guess what, somebody needs to update it before it's expiring, the robot will stop. Yes, but so is if you are a human and your password expires, you need to change it. So it is scalable for us, it is stable. So far, I will also be honest, we do not have 1,000 robots. Like I heard the culprit before talking about customers that they have like hundreds of and thousands of robots. We are not yet there, but at the stage that we are today, it's pretty stable. We have not had any opportunity to work with them because the product was very stable so far. So we had only in the beginning a partner which worked with us in this journey. No problem. I have actually a story with a CEO in a previous company who was saying, "Oh, I didn't know when you did the email migration." I said, well, then it means my department is very successful. If you do not hear, if you do not see it, it means we do a good job. So I can only assume they do a good job if we do not interact with them. We had actually, going back to my role of procurement, I had 2 months actually pitch with different vendors. In the end, we selected Fujitsu in Luxembourg, because our company is headquartered in Luxembourg. Fujitsu had proven not only that they have the technology knowledge, but also the market and local legislation, which Luxembourg, people know that it's heavily regulated and you need to really know the ins and outs. So for us, they seem to be the right partner. I think one of the advantages that we had with UiPath, because we also tested other products, we had in the last pitch, and I can say it is not a secret, so UiPath knows as well, Blueprints and Automation Anywhere, because basically they are the 3 players. But it was quite straightforward. And not only this, but you see they go more and more into the direction that makes this open and collaborative even for the business user. So that is a very strong advantage for us. We did not yet implement it in Citrix. We have Citrix in our environment. We work with Fujitsu because a next process will have to use Citrix. It's not impossible. There are some aspects that you need to take into account. And I've heard as well, even today, the fact that UiPath is working even to do this more transparent, and they will have also floating robots everywhere. So I think that by the time we will have also all deployed via Citrix, probably it's going to be as easy as it is today. They have a capability that will come soon and that they will extract data. So let's say that we have an application form in our onboarding process. Again, I'm going back to my company and to our issues to see how UiPath can solve our issues. Once those application form will be scanned and it will be in our network, UiPath has the capability at this moment, or in the next release, to extract the data, interpret, and then even be able to process it if you say, okay, I'm happy, I'm satisfied with all the data of the client, just put it in our system and continue with the onboarding process. So I think that was a key, let's say, feature that was missing, and I see them going to that direction. So in terms of ROI, I think it's also depending, and this is probably critical for, and I can advise all the companies that are starting this journey, make sure one of the critical success factor is select value-rich processes. What does this mean? It means that you need to select critical process to your business, but also those in which you do have high manual work and you run maybe that process frequent. We even had, like my team, even had mathematical formula that they start to build, in which they said that is the process, that's how many hours, how many the frequency, and then even weighted with what is the cost of developing a robot. Is it 10 days, is it 20 days? So that you see what is the right process to start and what is the ROI. Probably I would say it's around 9 to 12 months. At least, as I said, if we look at our processes. Now, we do not like to talk about savings in terms of money because we have a different philosophy, meaning that what we want to create actually workload reduction for our users. So I do not know any company in this world that they do not project throughout. For us to make sure you get the right investment, you also need to start with the processes first. Second, it's if you as a company do actually project growth, then are you really going to go in the ROI for cost saving, like you fire people? Or do you want to look actually further and beyond this and say, if I'm projecting growth, if I need a 10-15% maybe growth next year, how do I cover this? Do I hire more people? Do I streamline my processes? Well, they are kind of lean. Do I use technology? Yes. Well, that's your answer. So it means you need to use smartly that technology in order to enable your people to process more, be it transaction in terms of processing, be it in finance and they have a lot of invoices. It does not matter. It's the same. It means that if we are able, and we were able to save roughly around 40%, more than 8,000 hours per year that we have managed to save. For us, that was the ROI. And this is how we are able, for instance, next year to reach the 5 billion target and etc. So I would advise all the companies to go more in that direction. I would give it an 8.9 because the extractor was not there. Probably now with the extractor I will give it a 9.3. In terms of what it is as options, as I said, I think they are the only player at this moment that they offer attended, unattended, orchestrator. You can customize it. Not only this, but what I've seen today, and probably I'll give the 9.5 with this, the Go, you have a market like with the app, and then you can make use of all the communities, what they put as other activities. I think this is fantastic. What this means, it means that it dramatically shifts the time for an implementation. If I put in the market the robot for KYC and there are other players there, and I know all the banks and all the insurers have this, imagine that for them it will not even be 3 weeks like it was for me. It's probably going to be 3 days because they have it, they adapt it, and then they have it. I think it's really good, really good.